Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're doing a Stardust Dragon Synchron deck profile. So I'm excited for this one, guys, because you guys have been requesting this one like crazy, and this deck just got some amazing new support in Dawn of Majesty, and this deck is a really amazing synchro-based deck that uses the old school, nostalgic Stardust Dragon to synchro summon into all its various awesome forms. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test stands. And without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, you're going to be playing 2 copies of Stardust Synchron. I know, he finally has a Synchron version of himself. That is awesome. So what this card actually does is if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you contribute 1 monster to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And also, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest turn except for Synchro monsters, which is not that big of a deal because everything we're playing in the extra deck is Synchro monsters anyways. It has the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you get to add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Stardust Dragon in its text. You only select this card once per turn. That is a really powerful effect to grab the specific cards that you need. We then play 3 copies of Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron is probably one of the best cards in the entire deck to see, and is a really good playmaker in this deck. It has the ability that when this card is normal summon, you get to special summon 1 level 2 or lower monster from your graveyard in face-up defense position, but it has its effects negated. Now that is not that big of a deal for this particular card because you're basically going to be able to go directly into your copy of Junk Speeder to then go into some really amazing plays. We then play 2 copies of Satellite Synchron. Satellite Synchron is a really good tuner monster in the deck as well, that if this card, or if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you have a Synchro monster with Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust in its original name on your field or in your graveyard, you can make this card become a level 4 until the end phase of the turn, which is pretty good to be able to just give you a level 2 or a level 4 tuner monster. We then play 2 of the new Converting Wills Dragon. I played 2 copies of this card because sometimes you will open it in your starting hand and you really need to have this card in the deck because it has the ability it cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a majestic monster. And this card's name becomes Majestic Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. And when you draw this card, you can reveal it to special summon it from your hand. And if you control a level 8 or higher dragon synchro monster, you can special summon 1 level 1 dragon monster from your deck, which is a really good effect for this particular card. It helps out the deck a lot. I again play 2 copies of this card because I feel like it's such a good card and I really like to play 2 copies of it. You can play 1 copy of it, but I have run into so many situations where I will need the second one in this particular deck later on if I'm going to synchro into other plays, but it's a really good card in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Synchron. Cyber Synchron is a good level 1 tuner monster in the deck because it has the ability to once per turn target a level 4 or lower monster you control and increase its level by its original level, so it can actually double the level of a monster, which is pretty good for this particular deck to help you out. Play a same copy of Fleur Synchron, which is just a good level 2 synchro monster or level 2 tuner monster for the particular deck, which helps out the deck a lot. We play 3 copies of Junk Converter. Junk Converter is a fantastic card in this particular deck as well, because you discard this card and a tuner monster to add a Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, then you can target a tuner monster in the graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but it can't activate its effect this turn, which is a really good effect because basically all you have to do with this particular card is discard it and any other tuner to add your copy of your Junk Synchron to your hand, and then normal summon out your copy of your Junk Synchron to revive this back from the graveyard, and then you can immediately synchro summon into a level 5 synchro monster, which is really good for the deck. We then play 2 copies of Stardust Trail. Stardust Trail is a new card that we just got out of Dawn of Majesty. And then this card has a really good effect that if a monster you control is tributed except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. And if a Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust synchro monster is synchro summoned summon using this card as a material, then you get a token that's a Stardust token that is a level 1/0/0, which helps you out a lot in this deck to be able to just give you an additional token on your side of the field that's a level 1 because it can help you go into some really, really good plays. We then play 2 copies of Doppel Warrior. Doppel Warrior is the classic card that you guys are going to be playing in your decks that are going to be Synchron decks, because this card has the ability that when a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a Synchron material, then you get to special summon 2 Doppel Warrior tokens that are level 1s to your side of the field to give you 2 more tokens to go into more Synchro plays. Play 2 copies of Clawcrow. Clawcrow has the ability that if you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is the only real effect of this card that you're going to be using anyways, and it's just a really good card to give you an additional monster on your field that's a level 2 to go into additional plays. Play a single copy of Synchron Carrier. Synchron Carrier held side of the deck because it's going to, during your main phase, it gives you an additional normal summon of a Synchron monster in addition to your normal summoner set, and it also has the ability that if another Synchron monster is sent to the graveyard as a material for the Synchro summon of a warrior or a machine Synchro monster while you control this card, you can normal special summon a Synchron token to your side of the field that's a level 2 with 1,000 attack and 0 defense. So it's just a good one of now with all the new support that we've got, but this card really helps out the deck with consistency. You play a single copy of Omni Dragon Brotar, which Brotar is going to be one of the cards that you're going to be summoning off your Converting Wheels Dragon, which it has plenty of targets in the deck to actually bring out, which is a really, really good card for this particular deck. I play a single copy of Stardust Xiaolong. Stardust Xiaolong is really helpful for the deck as well, because when you Synchro summon into a Stardust Dragon, you can special summon this card from your graveyard in face-up attack position. And then once per turn, if this card would be destroyed by battle, it is not destroyed. So it's a really good level 1 monster to actually play in the deck. And then I play 2 copies of Jester Comfy. Jester Comfy is really good because it's an additional monster that you can special summon from your hand. And it helps out the deck a lot to give you an additional level 1 to special summon out for free, essentially. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn because this card is a fantastic extender for the deck. Basically, this card is just going to revive back any of the cards that you need from the graveyard to your side of the field to go into additional plays. It can even revive some of your Synchro monsters that have been properly summoned. Play a single copy of Reinforcements to the Army because you play a lot of warriors in this particular deck. Play a single copy of 1-for-1 because it can get you out a level 1 from the deck to go into more Synchro plays. 1 copy of Foolish Burial because Foolish Burial can send cards that you need into the graveyard to the graveyard so you can go in for additional plays. A single copy of Black Garden because Black Garden is absolutely crazy in this deck to go into particular plays and for combos in the deck. 1 copy of Arrive in Light, which is an awesome new card for this particular deck. It has the ability, when this card is activated, you get to place a level 1 dragon monster from your hand or deck on top of your deck, and neither player can return Stardust Dragon or Synchro monsters that list Stardust Dragon in its text from the field to the extra deck, which actually turns off the effect of your Majestic Dragon's effect to put itself back into the extra deck, which is really good for this particular deck because it would just put itself back and it totally bypasses that effect, which is really good and turns that card into an insanely powerful card. It also has the ability that from the extra back to the extra deck, and if a Synchro monster is special summoned except during a damage step, you can apply one of these effects, but you can't apply the same effect of Arrive in Light again this turn. You either draw a card or special summon a tuner from your hand, which is really good because once you draw your copy of your Converting Wheels Dragon, you're going to be able to special summon that card to your side of the field, which is really good for this particular deck. Play 2 copies of Stardust Illumination. I think Stardust Illumination is a fantastic card, which I played at 2 in this deck. It has the ability to send a Stardust monster from your deck to the graveyard, or if you control a Stardust Dragon or a Synchro monster that lists Stardust Dragon in its text, you can special summon it instead, which is usually going to be your Stardust Xiaolong or a couple of other cards that you play in the deck. It also lets you have the ability that you can banish this card from the graveyard, and the target Stardust monster you control increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end phase this turn, which helps you out a lot for different Synchro plays that you might need. We then play 3 copies of Synchro Overtake. This card is an insanely good card. It's essentially a fusion deployment for your Synchro monsters. It lets you reveal a Synchro monster in your extra deck. Choose one Synchro material whose name is listed on that card and either add it to your hand or instantly special summon that card from your deck or graveyard, and also you cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck the turn you activate this effect except synchro monsters, which is not that big of a deal at all because you're going to be able to instantly special summon out a copy of Junk Synchron from the deck, which is the main one that you're usually going to grab. We then played 3 copies of Tuning as well. Tuning lets you add a Synchron Tuner or Synchron Tuner monster from the deck to your hand, and then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, which is a pretty good effect to just give you additional searching power in the deck. This deck has some really insane search potential now with Synchro Overtake, with Tuning, Arrive in Light, with your copies of Rhoda, and even your copies of Stardust Illumination. Like, this entire bottom row is nothing but search cards, which is just ridiculous for any deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the extra deck because you don't actually play any traps in my build. So, for the extra deck, we're playing a single copy of Majestic Star Dragon, the new card from Dawn of Majesty. This card is really good. It has the ability that you have to use a Majestic Dragon to summon this card, and it has the other ability that you have to use a non-tuner monster, including a Dragon Synchro monster. So there's some combos to actually summon this card out using a Crystal Wing, which is going to be the big way that you're actually going to summon this card, but it has the ability that it must be Synchro Summon, and then once per turn, you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls, and then this card gains 1 additional attack each battle phase for every monster in your graveyard that has Stardust Dragon, or Synchro monster that has Stardust Dragon in its text, which can be a lot for a 4,000 attack point monster. It also has the ability that once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase of the turn, then you get to negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card, which is a really awesome classic effect of Stardust Dragon's different forms, to banish itself off the field to do a particular effect, and it is an extremely powerful effect. This is like if you took every one of Stardust Dragon's forms and put them all together and you made this thing. This card is ridiculously powerful. We then play 2 copies of Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is a really powerful card in this particular deck, and it's going to be kind of the centerpiece of what you're going to be using to go into some really awesome plays. It has the ability that you have to tribute this card to negate the activation of a spell trap or a monster's effect that destroys a card on the field, and then destroy that card. And if this card negated the effect this way, you can special summon this card back from the graveyard during the end phase, which is a really good effect just to be able to give you a protection on the field. The single copy of Cosmic Blazar. You can go for Cosmic Blazar sometimes in this deck. It's a really powerful card. It must be Synchro Summon and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can banish this card from your field until the end phase to activate one of these effects. They're all quick effects to be able to, when your opponent activates a card effect, negate the activation if you destroy that card. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can negate the summon if you destroy that card, or when your opponent declares an attack, you can negate the attack and end the battle phase, which is really good. A single copy of Majestic Star Dragon, which is a really good card in this deck as well. It takes a Majestic Dragon, a Stardust Dragon, and a Tuner monster to summon this card. You just play one of this card, and it's a really good card, and it works really well with Arrive in Light because of its effect to return itself, but it has the ability to tribute this card, negate the activation of an opponent's spell trap or monster effect that destroys all cards your opponent, and then it destroys all cards your opponent controls, which is ridiculous. And then once per turn, you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase of the turn. And also, if this card negates the effect, you get to activate the effect to activate once this effect per turn. And then it has the ability that during the end phase, you return this card from the field to the extra deck, and then special summon a Stardust from your graveyard, which actually ignores that effect with Arrive in Light. We then play a single copy of Satellite Warrior, which just pops a bunch of cards on the field, which is really good, depending on the amount of synchros you have in the graveyard. Like a single copy of Crystal Wing, which is a key card in this particular deck to actually go into your Crystal Wing, gives you additional monster negations and helps you climb into your copy of Majestic Star Dragon, the new card, which is really good. 1 copy of Stardust Charge Warrior. When you Synchro Summon this card, it lets you draw a card, which is really good. 1 copy of TG Hyper Librarian. Every time you Synchro Summon when this card's on the field, you get to draw a card, and it's a key card to actually go in your copy of Cosmic Blazar. 1 copy of Junk Warrior. This card is really good in this deck because you can actually reveal this card with Synchro Overtake to grab your copy of your Junk Synchron. It does have a really good effect as well, that when this card is Synchro Summoned, it gains the total attack of all monsters you currently control that are level 2 or lower, which helps out the deck deck a lot to have that particular ability. One copy of Junk Speeder. This card is one of the best cards in the entire deck. This deck has evolved past just using this card, but it's still a really good playmaker for the deck, because what this card does is it has the ability, if this card is Synchro Summon, you can special summon as many Synchron tutor monsters as possible with different levels from your deck into this position, which is really good, that have different levels. So you can special summon from 1 to 4 in this deck. If you play Quick Draw Synchron, you can play up to 5 that you can special summon. I don't play that card in this particular deck. You can if you want to change out the Converting Wheels Dragon and just play one of that card. But this card is just really good because it gives you so many cards on the field just off its Synchro Summon. One copy of Garden Rose Maiden because it works with your copy of Black Garden. One copy of Excel Synchron because this card helps out in the deck a lot to use it as a Synchro Tuner monster in this particular deck. One copy of Celestial Double Star Shaman. It has a really good effect that this card Synchro Summon. When this card is Synchro Summon, you can special summon up to 4 level 2 non-tuner monsters from your hand or graveyard, which we play a lot of level 2s in this deck. So this card is really good to just get those monsters back on the field, and it's a really good playmaker in the deck to go into some really insane Synchro monsters. And then a single copy of the classic Formula Synchron, which is when this card is Synchro Summon, you get to draw a card, and then you can use this card to Synchro Summon during your opponent's turn. This deck is really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this particular deck. I know you guys have been requesting this one like crazy, and I am excited to do this one. Like, this is one of the decks that I've been looking forward to the most out of Dawn of Majesty to actually show you guys, and I hope you guys are really excited about this deck. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome awards, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.